Solid project.
Before I start the album, I'm like, what are things I wanna discuss? What are things I wanna touch on? Doing broad strokes in my mind as I'm creating. Bang out, however long it takes me. For this, I might have made like 12 songs in 2 weeks, but this was like really fast. Okay, let me take a step back and see what I got now. Ooh, this song goes right here, this song goes right here. Then I'm like, okay, I've got the album. Write songs by myself and just smoke. You know what I'm saying? There was nobody around so much. Like I would go, like O-Dot, like I lived with O-Dot for a while. So I lived with him for 2 years. And while we created in that time frame, it was like I would be in my room for a couple days, only leave to take a piss and shower, then go back in my room. And I didn't have a lamp in my room. My light bulb would blow out all the time. And, oh God, yes. Speaking of Bud, we just got our batch for the night, so I'm really excited about that. But basically, I would come up with these ideas and I would run to the studio, which was right down the hall to O-Dot's room, and I'd tell him about my ideas and we would lay them down and then the cycle would continue. I would go back to my room for a couple of days and be MIA, zone out and write. You know what I mean? So in that time frame is me speaking about, you know, what I was going through, you know, at that point in time. Like, it was a very, very, very dark, like, gloomy shadow over my life at that point in time, you know? So, like, the light bulb in my room didn't work, so the only thing illuminating my room was the sunlight. So, and I had this little room, I had this little window in my room, but it was facing a brick wall. So the only, like, you know, thing I could look at out my window was this brick wall. And it was like a little bit of light. So, you know, when the daylight went, it was a wrap. You know what I mean? My room was dark and I would just sit there and just write, you know what I mean? Just zone out. So the lonely stoner is me, you know? And anybody that connects with that, thank you for connecting with that, because I am you and you are me type shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, for real. Every time I make a record, I'm always like learning something new about myself. Like even with my first album, like I didn't realize that my father's death really like had an impact on me in the way that it did until I started writing about it. Then I was like, oh shit, like this is a problem for me. I didn't know that my dad dying was that big of an issue. You know, I guess it is. Oh, I guess being alone is an issue for me. I didn't know it was that big of an issue. I guess it is. You know, I guess being depressed is an issue of why I didn't know what it was. You know, I'm just making music. I'm just doing what feels right, but this shit is coming out. And it's like, at that time, before therapy, I didn't have a therapist or any of this stuff. Like now, like, you know, the stuff that I talk about in the album are things that I might have mentioned in therapy and I've discussed with a therapist. For the first 2 nights before the album came out, I couldn't sleep. I was nervous. I was like,
this shit is so weird. Like, nobody's gonna fucking like this shit. Like, people are gonna be like, they're gonna hear Pursuit of Happiness and be like, at best, I was like, oh, I got an orchestra, and people like when Kanye does it, so maybe they'll be into it with me. That was the first thing, when I got my deal, the first thing I asked for, I was like, yo, I want an orchestra. I was like, I need strings on this album. Because the mixtape was one thing. I wanted to go, okay, this is the TV show. This is the fucking movie. Let's take them there.
Yeah.
Let's take it to a whole nother place. Let's turn it up. Get the lights, camera, action on these motherfuckers.